Morning, folks. It's Friday morning, and yippee, 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 and all that. I hope you've had a great week. More importantly, I hope that you've taken some of the big profits that are around this week. Some stocks gapping in our direction, which of course is lucky, but yeah, certainly some very very big money out there. So I hope you got involved with that and made some good bucks there. What we're looking at here is XLE. Again, we're going over the 2-year time frame. I don't like trading over the 2-year time frame. Reason being is because obviously if you're taking your entry point off a 2-year time frame, it's going to take you longer to get to your exit point than it would do in a 1-year time frame. So I'm always looking at 2 years, but with this one we do have obviously some resistance just above 79. Then we have BP. We have an upward trending support line. Again, bounce, bounce, bounce. What we're looking at here at the moment is not a perfect entry point. That's not a perfect entry point. That's an update, but it's coming sitting here. That would be a perfect entry point. Something like that, where you have that change of direction, the doji coming in. Really, entry points make such a huge difference for you if you get them right. Then we have RIG. Again, some resistance around about the 59.30 mark. Again, I don't like that. The big upward day. There's a lot of momentum behind that. It closed up as well. If I'd seen something like this, it'd be a lot more entertained by it. But again, it's these telltale little signs that the stock is actually showing you here. See what I talk about? Not just following the rules, but actually seeing what the stock is telling you there. And that stock is telling you there's a very big, strong upward trend there. Then we have CMG. Again, a downward trending resistance line. We want to look at over 1 year. So we've got the downward trending resistance line. That is pretty much picture perfect. The only way that could be a little bit better, that entry point there, would have been if it had a slightly downward day. So maybe the stock might have gone already, but that's if you had seen this on what's that, Friday? So on Tuesday, that would have been, yeah, interesting. I would have given it a second look there. ARPA, which is Apache. Apache was one of the stocks we've been looking at for a while. Again, this was a stock that made us a lot of money yesterday. Hell of a lot of money. And again, just an illustration, and I know I said this on the call, my only concern with this stock was that it was hobbling around here. So there was a lot of indecision here over 2 weeks. But sometimes this kind of indecision, I know I had this with ABX a while back as well. It took like literally a month where it was just sitting around on the support line. But it was hobbling, then all of a sudden, boom, and actually sold off. Now, I don't know whether, I think actually there was an announcement that came out, something about a reduction in their shortfall of their turnover. So again, people who are in this trade, you would have taken a lot, there would have been a lot of money on the table last night, but I would probably, from a trade management view, expect to see the stock continuing to sell off. Okay, so that is something to be aware of. Actually, I'm going to give you guys a little gift here as well. Just check this quickly. I'm going to show you something. Google Finance. If you go to Google Finance, what you're able to find is actually the pre-market quotes as well. Just remind me to discuss this on one of the webinars. I'm happy to do so. But what you can do is you can actually go here and you can type in APA, which is obviously Apache Corp, and you can actually see what the out of hours behavior is. So you see obviously it dropped 4.74% yesterday, which was $4, and then the after hours was an increase of 0.04. Now there was a trade I was in, not yesterday, the day before that, that had some information come out of hours, and I saw this because I did sort of the pre-market check, and the stock had dropped, I think, about 3%. There was some money on the table that I actually ended up missing out on, but what I was able to do is move my stop loss up real tight. So it gives you a little bit further insight there as to just what's happening in the market before the actual open. So you can have a look at that as well. Don't say I never give you anything, folks. Then we have Met. Again, not something overly exciting that I saw here. Maybe the 2-year time frame. Was it 2 year? Well, whatever it was, if it was, looking around that area, I think that trade's gone now anyway. Then we have TRC. Some pretty decent resistance around about the $31 mark. The only concern is this area here. I mean, I guess you could say it's coming up to the third bounce, but your stop loss is going to have to be up here as well. Okay, so around about $31, that's probably what you're looking at as a resistance line there. Again, a bit of a scrappy stock. If this had been taken out of the equation, then it would probably be a lot better looking than what it is at the moment. But we've got to trade what we see in front of us. HST. Some bounces on the resistance line there, $17.15, around about that area. Again, this is going to be your stop loss area up here. Yep, nothing else you haven't really seen in there before. Nothing you can't deal with. AEM. Upward trending support line. Bounce. It has been coming down. We've been watching this for a few days actually, because I know it's been notified a few times. Again, it's showing that it's had big down days and it's closed down as well. So I think the stock might be looking to actually go down to break through that support line. But you never know these kind of things. There's certainly not kind of entry points that I'm looking for at the moment. Those are pretty big down days. If I was to see this stock this day in here, like today, then it might provide a better entry point. Okay, and then we have NAV. Resistance line around about the 2650 mark. Pretty decent range on the stock as well. So and it's also, I tell you what's interesting to watch about this is that it's a pretty clean stock. Okay, having a look at this, I mean it's bobbled around a little bit over the last few days, but look how clean it is. It just touches there. It's touched there very, very closely. It's touched there almost perfectly. Then it's got a little bit scrappy recently, which is maybe a little bit of a concern. Nothing probably stopped me from being overly concerned, but it's hit there, it's come down, it's come back up, and it's just trying to break through that. It's over the 4 months, so it's not too many problems with that. But before that, it was pretty sweet as far as hitting on that resistance line. Okay, it was pretty clean cut. I do like trading stocks like that because obviously when the stock is clean cut and not going all over the place, the risk is a lot less. Then we have MOS, MOS. Okay, was this 2 years as well? Yeah, 2 years. Bounce again. 2 years. Yeah. Some upward trending support in the shorter term. MOS. Then we have WLT. Resistance at around about the 39.50, 39.47 mark. Again, this is the way my mind's working. When I'm looking at this, I'm looking at the stock. I'm thinking, okay, we've got good resistance there. It's pretty clean on this, but this, man, this is probably a couple of days off, maybe seeing what it does today or what have you. But again, the stock is a pretty rowdy stock. You see how it moves in quite an aggressive manner. It can gap a little bit. There's some pretty big days there as well. So just take that into account when you're making a decision on trading this particular stock, if you were to trade it. We have FCS. Resistance, again, around about the 1560 mark. Yeah. Fairchild. Yeah, nothing you haven't seen before. Looking for the entry point. You've got 4 bounces, so I guess you could use a limit if you wanted to. FCSTR. Bounces on the resistance line. Your stop loss is going to have to be up here. And again, looking for a good entry point, but nothing hugely concerning about that. Again, Teradyne, a stock that comes up a lot in RP. You get to know these stocks a little bit because it's like, obviously they have their own personalities, and because they have their own personalities, they work on support and resistance, and hence they keep coming up in the stock listing. So having a look at this, a very big indecisive day yesterday. Again, a very clean cut resistance line, but it gapped slightly up, it moved slightly up and then closed down. So again, it's tough to say. I mean, it did close down. Another potential short there. What are your ratios looking like? Clear zoom. some internal support around about this region here, around about the $20 mark. So you're probably looking at your 10%, but again, yeah, I mean, you've got your 4 bounces. You know, I'd probably feel inclined to trade that. If I was to trade it, I would probably feel inclined to trade it with a limit order, because you're certainly not going to use a stop order on that. I mean, it's going to make you safe as houses, but there's a huge potential risk there, okay, because obviously it's a big day. So I would never ever associate the term with gamble with trading. But the thing is, if you've got, let's say, this day up, if today put in something like this, then I would be a lot happier to trade it than, because then at least I can use a stop order, than this. This is just, there's something's telling me it's not right here, because it's gapped up. Well, it hasn't quite gapped up, but it's had a pretty big day up, but closed slightly down. So I don't quite know what to make of it. I think there's a little bit of indecision there with the actual stock. If I saw something like this settle in today, I'd be a lot more excited at that trade. So I hope that's given you some insight, because obviously it's given me a much less of a risk. Plus, then you know, I can use a stop order to get into the trade. It gives it a more confirmation there. So I hope that's helped, folks. Again, just some phenomenal trades coming through, some real good money to be made. I hope you like a little bonus I gave you there as well, as far as Google Finance. It does work. It's helped me a number of times. So have a look at that, and have an absolutely fantastic weekend. Champions, all the best, folks. Cheers. Bye bye.